Hi, welcome back. This is the third video in this little series of responses to the question about fear of joy. And today I'm looking at the fear of getting carried away. So this is one that, as I was preparing to send the newsletter that this originally came from, I really recognized this fear of getting carried away in me. So there are some experiences prior to any of this exploration, in fact, where often with alcohol involved, but not always, there seemed to be this carried awayness, which would lead to me saying something stupid, doing something stupid, upsetting someone, just things that I'd rather didn't happen. Or perhaps in a work situation, getting carried away by good feedback, or by kind of getting caught up in the storm, in the excitement of something, and again doing something that perhaps wasn't right for that moment, or wasn't most aligned for that moment, or blurting something out that was usually my classic, blurting something out that just landed like a flat something like duh. nobody laughing, everyone kind of like okay, a little bit carried away over there. And so having come into this exploration, then I had started to fear joy because of all those past experiences. It looked like, well, if I get joyful, if I have fun, it really looks like I do some stupid stuff. It really looks like I say some inappropriate things, or say some things that in the moment of caught upness I think are so funny, but when it comes out my mouth and it lands, it's like, oh my God, no, not funny. So what I realized is that in coming into this exploration, I'd really pulled back. There'd been it made sense. It made sense to pull back from that kind of experience. It was like, oh, that doesn't feel good. That doesn't feel aligned. That doesn't feel like the truth of who I am. Plus, I don't like the outcome. I don't like feeling like I've done something stupid. I don't like upsetting people. I don't like getting carried away in a kind of arrogance, or I've just got this visual of like everyone's going, oh, exciting, and everyone's like getting everyone else excited. It's contagious, but it all just gets a bit too much. And that's what we've been told when we were younger. Calm down, stop going overboard, rein it in, settle down, you're getting too excited. Calm down. Perhaps because the grown-ups could see that in our overexcitement, we were about to lead to a fall in some way. We were perhaps about to bang into something or somebody, or fall over and hurt ourselves, or so fair enough. But equally, that taught us that there was a danger with being this joyful. It began the education, the conditioning into the belief that joy is dangerous. And in fact, that fear of joy is what then creates the experiences like I had prior to this conversation, prior to this exploration, when I would say stupid things, when I would say inappropriate things, when I would do something stupid. It was exactly because joy didn't know how to flow through my system anymore, because it was getting caught in all these tangled ideas. So if you haven't yet watched it, my River of Experience metaphor training, watch that, because that's very much what this is. From the top of the river, joy comes flowing downstream. That's the only place it's ever come from. But then when it gets caught and identified in these narratives and these stories and these ideas at the level of whirlpools, then it starts to get messy. Then it starts to get confused. And then it creates these experiences in the world of doing stupid things, saying stupid things, or seemingly stupid at least. And so it's because there's all these conflicting ideas of, well, I think I should be allowed to have fun. Oh, but you keep saying stupid things when you have fun. Oh yeah, that's true. So what do I say? What's the right thing to say? Well, I don't know. It's not that thing, because you said that thing last time. Okay, I'll not say that thing. And so we're in this like inner narrative, this inner debate, this inner battle of what's the right way to have fun, what's the right way to do joy. And at the level of the mind, at the level of that conceptual mind and those whirlpools, there is no truly right way. That level of whirlpools, all it has is a database of past experiences, most of which it's afraid of. And so when it chucks all those at us and says, oh yeah, be afraid of joy, because from the beginning we were told calm down, because our parents were afraid of us hurting ourselves, because they were afraid of us getting carried away, perhaps they too had been told to calm down all their lives. So we've got those basic fears implanted in us. And then on top of that, we then collected a bunch of evidence from our growing up life that said, oh yeah, look, when you get carried away, really, it does get bad. You do stupid stuff. It's ridiculous. Best just not have fun. But all of that is purely a confusion at this relative level of the mind, and which prevents us then from being in joyful experiences. But meanwhile, all this joy is still flowing from upstream into the river, and it's kind of getting blocked. It like doesn't know how to get downstream because it's got these whirlpools that are keeping it in circulation. And when it does get through, because it's going via these whirlpools, when it does get through, yeah, it comes out all wonky. It comes out all confused. It comes out misaligned with the moment, misaligned with life, because all that whirlpool stuff is stale and old and regurgitated. When joy can flow straight downstream and not go via those whirlpool ideas, then it feels beautiful. Then it is perfect for the moment that it was made for, because it's just come straight downstream into life, into creation, in alignment with everything exactly as it is now. So in fact, when we've come to fear getting carried away, it's really only happened because we've believed all the fearful stories about joy, because we've believed that how I acted before, when I supposedly got carried away, is how I'm going to act again now. But the very fear of that and believing that fear at the level of the whirlpools is the very thing that creates what we think we don't want downstream in the content. So the very thing the mind thinks it wants to avoid, don't get carried away, you're going to look stupid, is the very thing it creates. Because while we've spent our time in those whirlpools, swirling and swirling, trying to figure out what the right thing is to do, by the time the joy gets through, yeah, it does look stupid, because it's out of alignment, because it's not fresh for this moment right now. It's gone through all these old stale ideas. And so what can happen when we get into a spiritual exploration is we can think, and this connects back to video 1 again, we can think, well, I'd best make sure I clear all of my identification with that egoic whirlpool mind first, and then I can have fun. And what I'd like to offer is that, in fact, what's more powerful and more impactful is if we live life in more freedom, and in that joy, we go with the joy when it arises. Okay, it might reveal some whirlpool conditioning, but that's not wrong. It's only through that we get to, so if we create via that whirlpool conditioning and create an experience of supposedly doing something stupid, perfect, because we get to turn around from that and use that as a mirror back upstream to see, so what was I believing at the level of the whirlpools? What was I attached to? What was I identified with? What was I believing to be true? What past idea was I recreating in this moment? What fear was I trying to avoid, but which in fact came into creation, because that's all that can happen. And that allows us to recognize and enlighten from whatever it is that we've been navigating by, innocently, wrongly navigating by, because it's not what we really want. That's not the freshness of joy that we really want. And the more we see that the belief of that whirlpool activity guarantees our suffering and guarantees unhappiness and not joy in the world, it stops making sense to believe that stuff. it stops making sense to follow those stories. And especially when we start to look at the opposite and see how beautiful the feeling is when there's just a pure flow of joy from upstream straight down into creation and the content of the world. And then we're like, oh yeah, that feels much better. That feels more like me. That feels aligned. That feels like who I know myself to be. And so we start to ground in that feeling, which in fact is the space from which we don't get carried away. We can be in full enjoyment of the joy, almost re-educate ourselves in our ability to hold that experience of joy without getting lost and identified back into the whirlpools again, in order that we can just fully be with it and live in that flow experience of a joyful life. So that is the second aspect of fear in relation to this topic of joy, around the fear of getting carried away. So consider it for yourself, look at it for yourself, experiences where there's been that caught upness in whether joy is allowed, whether this is going to be too much, whether I'm going to do something stupid, whether I'm going to get carried away. Look at the impact in your life when all that stuff's been swirling, and what kind of world that has created, what kind of experience downstream that has created. And then look for examples for when you have just been in that pure flow of joy, arising spontaneously, creating in the world spontaneously. Like, in fact, the reader mentioned in his very original question, that seeing of causeless joy just being suffused into everything and everyone around us. And I would love to hear your experiences. Do drop them in the comments and let me know. And then I'll see you next time for the final video in this little series. All right, lots of love. Take care.